everybody. Welcome to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Glad to have you with us this week. We're going to have a great show. We're talking to a man who has done more good than probably 7 people in their lifetime. So he lives here in Reno. We have the whole story for you, and we're going to tell you about it right after this.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. I'm to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the wild Mustangs herd running free, a mare and its foal, the wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988, so ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle, we're the biker's bike shop.
Welcome to Old Tales of Nevada, past and present. Glad to have you with us. I'm John O'Brien, the host of the show. And as always, my good buddy, my sidekick, my co-host, Hugh Roy Marshall is with us. And our special guest today is Tom TAVER. So we got a great show for you, right, Hugh Roy?
You betcha.
You know, you often talk about people who make a mark in their lives, in the community, in the way of the whole nation and even the world sometimes. And we have one of those people with us today. But before we get
to hear about him.
Before we get to Tom, tell us why we do the show.
Yeah, we do this show in order to breed and bring historical pride to the people that live in the state of Nevada, because a lot of people don't realize that after the Civil War, the United States was broke. And we owed more than what we were worth to France, Germany, and England. And at the time, the Comstock miners came up with $8 or $9 million in order to pay most of that debt off, for which Abraham Lincoln declared the area state in 1864, which really was the beginning of the United States. And the other great thing that came from all of this was a two-edged sword, really. Silver became ultimately the digital metal of our age, but in those days that was a technological metal, and there was nothing to make change for the gold currency that was already in circulation.
Right.
So the discovery of silver really brought about the beginning of the U.S. dollar, which became the major monetary unit for the whole world.
Yes, sir.
So we've done great things out here in Nevada, even though we're a very small populated area. There's been fantastic things that have happened there before, and we find more people that are doing more fantastic things all the time.
Every day.
Like
Every day.
Here. Sure.
We have such unique individuals that come to Nevada, starting with the gold strike and everything up there on the Comstock. It just seems to Nevada we draw those kind of unique individuals, very independent, pioneering, creative type of folks. Right, Tom?
Right on. And, by the way, you had some engineers that made big news and ended up such as Sutro.
Yes.
When he was draining the mines. And then they had all the Sutro baths and so forth in San Francisco, but most people in California only knew Sutro because of the baths.
Because of the baths. Didn't realize he made his millions right here, right here in Nevada, along with many others, right?
We made another great strike on the Comstock of platinum metal that will revolutionize Nevada and the whole area. This will ring out around the world within the next few weeks.
Yeah. So you're talking about the Comstock?
Yeah, we're talking
Comstock mining?
Yeah.
And the fact that they've been pulling more metals out of what was there than people thought were?
Right, because they didn't have the technology back then to find.
Aren't they also going to be going into tunneling here pretty soon?
I think so. Yeah, they have a lot of things, but UROI's operations
I would put in about 7.5 miles of underground tunnels out in central Nevada.
Operation going there.
On the north side.
I put in
on the north side.
Yeah, I own 80% of the area.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, from Union Street north is what Roy Marshall is working on.
But the discovery of platinum, that is our new metal of this new technological age, but silver is still very, very important because it's in every gadget we have.
And there's a shortage of it, as
and
I hear.
150 million ounce shortage a year, yeah.
Well, this is interesting because I try to keep up with what's going on in the Comstock.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Give you a new bit of news.
There you go. You're the first to hear. So, Tom, we want to know about you. You're here. You're our special guest. And like Roy says, many people make different marks on life as they live through it. And you've made some big marks in your life, not only locally and individually, but for the state and actually for the USA itself, because you've been involved in so many different things. But let's start from the beginning. Where were you born?
Oakland, California.
Oakland, California.
East Oakland Hospital.
Okay, very good. And what did you do as a youngster out in Oakland?
I skinned my knees a lot.
A lot different than what it is today, right?
Oh, far different. As long as I was home for dinner and after dinner home before dark, it was okay.
It was okay. That was the way we were, too, back in Jersey. We could get out on our bikes and be gone all day. Mom and Dad didn't even care where we went, what we were doing, because it was so safe back there. And then we'd come home for dinner. Where you been all day? Well, I've been out playing ball, whatever.
Well, yes, and I walked 3 or 4 blocks to school. Heavens, you can't do that now.
No, not at all.
Not when you're in the 1st and 2nd grade. Everybody's concerned.
So that was way back in 1938, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. How long did you stay in Oakland?
We stayed in Oakland until I was in the 5th grade, and we moved to Hayward.
Hayward,
the family moved to Hayward.
You went to high school there and so on?
I went to high school, opened up San Lorenzo High School. Instead of going to Hayward High, there was a split when we were seniors, and so they had San Lorenzo and Hayward High, and they became, of course, what would you say, competitors?
Yes.
Rivals?
Yeah, that's always good, good.
Hayward had the Union caps, and San Lorenzo had the Rebel caps, and became known as the Rebels, which is nowadays not supposed to do that.
Not supposed to do that, right? So tell me, how were you in school? Pretty smart?
I think I was reasonably intelligent. Got through. I actually, public school, I had what I consider a heck of an education.
Super.
Much better than what I consider that we're getting now out of high school.
A lot of people say that. Old school, there's nothing wrong with it, really.
No.
Reading, writing, and arithmetic, right?
Reading, writing, arithmetic, discipline in the school, discipline in the classroom.
Yeah.
If you walk down the hall with the blue slip during class, everybody knew that you were okay. You walk down the hall with the yellow slip, you're going to the principal, the vice principal.
Nobody wanted to go there.
Or you're going to the vice principal or dean of girls or dean of boys.
Exactly.
And that wasn't good.
No, that was not a good thing. It wasn't for commendation, was it? No,
it wasn't.
Okay. So you got through high school, and did you go to college as well?
I started out at college at San Mateo. At that time, there were very few community colleges in the Bay Area. You had City College, and City College San Jose, San Mateo Junior College, and there's been a proliferation since.
Sure,
I ended up with an AA out of, Chabot College in economics. That was after even I started to work for United. So I've been going at this education in piecemeal because I have a semester after this to finish up with my bachelor's at UNR.
No kidding,
How
really?
about that? How about that? Yeah.
Almost 80 years old, and he's going to UNR for further education. Nothing wrong with that.
Wonderful.
So you mentioned United. So after you got out of college, you were still in California, and your chosen field of work was to go to work for the airlines, or what?
Well, I had always wanted to fly. I had been taking lessons when I was still in high school.
Oh, okay.
But at that particular time, going to work for the airlines didn't seem to fit into things. So I went to work for General Electric. I worked in the quality control lab and distribution transformer in Oakland.
Okay.
And then I was promoted, so to speak, to being in charge of the atmospheric corrosion test site for distribution transformer.
That sounds
then
important.
I went into contractor and inside sales for electrical apparatus.
Okay.
opened up my own business as a small bakery in a short order.
See that?
location.
The entrepreneurship,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're destined for Nevada. I can see it now. So how long did you do that, and how did you get to Nevada?
Well, after a little domestic squabble and not being married for 11 years, I married my lady, and we've been married 42 years.
42 years. Congratulations. I got you beat, though. I just finished my 50th.
Well,
I was married when I was 12.
if I had decided to get married right after I met my lady,
Yeah.
we'd be running up against you.
Okay.
But I was a stubborn SOB, and we dated for about 5.5 years before we got married.
All right.
But the reason that we came to Nevada, number one, Jane's folks resided here. Her dad retired out of Stead with the Air Force.
Okay.
He went to be manager of Hidden Valley,
Okay.
and then he opened up Edgewood with Brooks Parks.
Edgewood, right. There you go. That's the
Went
name.
back to Hidden Valley. But the main reason that we left California was Willie Brown.
Oh, the
Willie
politician.
Brown, who was the Speaker of the Assembly for California. He started throwing all these tax things into the...
Okay.
And we looked at it and said, wait a minute, we don't want a socialist place.
Yeah.
We want to go somewhere where you can be responsible for what you do.
Right.
You can become an entrepreneur, or you can do whatever it is that you want, but you had that freedom.
Sure.
And you also had personal responsibility.
Yes. Yes.
And there were too many people in California who didn't want to take that personal
Yeah,
responsibility.
they wanted government to do it all, whereas here, it still had that early day cowboy attitude. You know what I'm saying? Or minor attitude.
When
You go
was
out and
it?
do your
When
thing.
was it when you guys moved over here, Tom?
Moved over in March of 77.
77, yeah.
Okay.
So you got me beat there. I came in 86, and he was here in 78, right?
Yeah.
78, yeah.
Well,
a lot of
I've-
people
I've-
come from all over.
Well, see, Jane's heritage was Alabama and so forth.
Oh,
And so when she'd go visit her grandparents, people would still ask her, you guys still fighting Indians?
I had that same question when I was sent out to Montana in the Air Force, as you were in the Air Force too. My folks said, there are cowboys and Indians out there. Be careful.
Yeah, well, there's cowboys and Indians all across the United
Yes,
States.
that's right.
If you
Yes,
take
for
a
sure.
look at the placement of Native Americans
Yeah.
across the United States, it's plentiful.
That's true. That's true. All over the East Coast, there were Indian tribes. So, what a way to go. So, you came to Nevada, and you had this entrepreneurial spirit already before you came. But you spent full time as an airline pilot, right?
I was flying for United Airlines, and I had been in the Air Guard in California, and I joined the Air Guard here in Reno.
Okay.
And so if I wasn't flying for the airlines, I was flying for the Guard.
Okay, good. Let's take a break there, and we'll come back and explore that career a little bit more. But I have 7 pages of resume here I want to talk about before the end of the show. So we'll be back right after this. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Somewhere in Time is the place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected, with a large selection of beer and sports memorabilia, vintage toys, casino and brothel memorabilia, vent and glassware, Disney collectibles, historic comic books, jewelry, a great selection of vintage neon, new and enlarged collections throughout the store. Have fun with the whole family. Check out all the inventory in the store. Find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia in Reno.
Hello, and welcome to Boutique Elegante. Today we're showing our fabulous collection of sweaters for fall. Teaming them with fabulous denims in all colors. For a day in the city, wonderful nubby jackets, a perfect black and white tweed suit, and day into evening in a three-piece black opera suit. For an evening out, dinner, or the opera, more exquisite fashions for that very special occasion. All of this and so much more at Boutique Elegante.
Welcome back to Old Tales in Nevada, past and present. We're talking with a very, very important and interesting person in our community, Tom TAVER. He's done so many things. I mentioned as we left the last segment, I got 7 pages of activities here. Wow. That's pretty amazing. I don't think mine would fill up a half page, large type. Well, it's a number 12. It's not bad. But, yeah, most people, there's no way they could accomplish everything you've done in your life. When I look at that resume, it reminds me of one other person. A guy named John Tyson used to work for Channel 8.
Oh,
Remember
I know
John? Okay.
Yeah, he was in the Guard here,
yeah,
too.
Right. John used to tell me stories about what he did and what he's done and what he's doing. And I said, there's no way this guy could do all of that, you know? But sure enough, he did.
He did it. Oh, he did it, yeah.
And I'm hearing the same thing here, you know? So it's really good for people in the community to know about you because I think it indicates that if we have the motivation, we can do almost anything that we want to do, especially in Nevada, because Nevada gives us that option.
Too.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things that, number one, I don't like to sit and do nothing.
Right.
I like to sit and relax once in a while, but
Sure
I don't
we
like
do.
to sit and do nothing for long periods of time. And then, as we discussed prior to the show, life is what happens when you're planning other things.
Yeah, isn't that a wonderful philosophy to have and understand, too? But it's great to have you on the show. As we left our last segment, we're talking about your airline career, and mostly it was with United, I suppose, right?
Entirely with United.
United, huh? And what kind of aircraft did you fly?
Well, I started out in the DC-6. Prop.
Yeah.
And then I went to 727.
Okay.
And then to the DC-10.
Okay, DC-10.
Yep. And then I ended up back in 737, and then 757, 767.
You flew those big wide bodies then?
Yeah.
Wow. Pretty amazing. What's it like to fly a 757 or 767? I look at the size of those aircraft. I was on an Airbus
320, right?
330. 330.
Okay.
Beautiful aircraft, quiet, beautiful for passengers. But I looked at the size of that thing, and then I see the 2 pilots. You know, they looked about that big in the cockpit compared to the size of the plane. What's it like to be in control of something like that?
Wonderful.
I guess so. No, is it like kind of awe-inspiring that you can control that big a piece of equipment? I figure the guy has to be so smart.
Well, smart might help because you have to learn all the pieces of the airplane.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have to do it now, but we used to almost have to rebuild the airplane. And there were oral examinations by the FAA as to whether or not we understood all the systems.
Really?
Besides, you have to be able to fly it, and then you have to be able to go through all of the emergency procedures. Once a year with the airlines, you go to what we call Bet Your Job.
Okay, Bet Your Job.
Yes.
Okay.
Which means that you're going back, and it's called training, but it's a check, a yearly check. And if you can't accomplish all of the emergency procedures, if you can't go through another oral on all the systems of the airplane and the emergency procedures and the FAA regulations, then you go back through more training. If you screw it up again,
You can't fly that aircraft anymore, right? No. Yeah, you're done.
Hey, Tom, if you don't mind my asking, when do they cut you off on the flying? My dad was a pilot.
What's your retirement age?
For many
it
years.
Used to be 60. It's now 65.
It is 65. Because I had another friend of mine. He flew for one of the older name airlines. I forget now. It wasn't United. It was American. Well, they're still around.
American's still here. Yeah.
But he flew the big planes, the 747s and so on. And they retired him at 60. And he was so sad because of that retirement. He was in great shape.
We had some captains that bid back to engineer when we had 3 people in the airplanes. Wow. Most of them ended up being an engineer in 747s or on DC-10s.
Okay.
And they would bid back until they hit 65 because they just enjoyed flying.
They enjoyed flying. That's their passion, right? Yeah. So anyway, flying these big aircraft, it's all computerized, I guess, because try to do it all with all the functions.
Nowadays it is, but we used to refer to the Douglas as the wire and cable company because everything was cables to this, cables to that.
Yeah.
And Boeing was more of a hydraulic situation, electro-hydraulic.
Sure.
So you have all these assists. It's basically the same thing now. It used to be if you drove a big rig truck, it was horsing it all through everything. Right. Now it's all hydraulics.
It's all hydraulics, that's for sure. So you had your career cut short actually as you were going to work one day right here in Reno, right?
As I mentioned, on the 14th of March 1994, Jane drove me to the airport so that I could hop on to the airplane and go to San Francisco, go to work. And I was pulling my bag, my flight bag, which you don't have anymore because it's all contained in an electronic laptop
okay. There
or
you go. Progress.
iPad or something like that. And my overnight bag out of the trunk went a van. There's maybe 4 or 5 parking spaces behind me in front of the terminal. I heard revving of an engine, the spinning of tires, and turned around enough to look at the face of a van.
Wow.
So it squashed me between the cars.
Wow.
A wonderful, exciting time.
Yeah,
There's 3 to 5 seconds of excitement in your life you didn't really wish.
Yeah.
But Newton was right.
What?
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So once I got squashed between the cars separated, and then they came back.
Oh!
So I've got the cross member of the engine compartment sitting on my chest.
Oh, no.
And thank goodness some people were there. They helped lift it off. The driver, by the way, got out and ran into the terminal.
Oh.
So they got the van off of me, and then of course it's after that you're just talking with the medics, and you're off to the hospital. And actually that stopped your career because it did some nerve damage, whatever, right? Considerable nerve damage that lasted for about 12 years.
No kidding.
My goodness.
I tried to go back to work, but the severe nerve pain that came from that, and the doc said, well, after about 7 years you're going to have to learn to live with what you had, but it healed for about 12 years.
It did, and so you're doing pretty good.
I still have a few problems with it, but that's okay.
Well, that's wonderful that you were able to recover to that extent. But in a way, there was a light at the end of the tunnel because while that career ended, your curiosity and your motivation to do other activities probably expanded, right?
Well, as I say, if you sit on the curb watching the parade go by, you never get anywhere.
Right.
So you might as well join the parade.
And
right?
some do that, right?
Yeah.
So what did you do then after you recovered?
Oh, I got involved with our children in activities.
How many children did you have?
We have 2.
2, okay.
And Jane was a water polo.
Water polo?
Yeah, that's where you get to
Reno,
drown.
Nevada. That's pretty good.
That's where you get to drown your friend, right?
Yeah, right.
And then
pretty
Tom
amazing.
was involved in baseball. That's where I met Tom House, who I don't know if you know Tom House, but he's one of the better known pitching consultants, and he played for USC, and then he went into professional baseball.
Okay.
And then he coached. He was Nolan Ryan's coach for the last 5 years of Nolan's time.
All right.
And Nolan says if it wasn't for Tom House, he would have never made it through those last 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I'm going to have to head on. It's been nice meeting you.
Good to meet you.
And, nice to meet you, too.
Okay. You taking off?
Yeah. I got to run with Cynthia over the doctor.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, you take care.
Yeah, you betcha.
And we'll see you on the next episode of Old Tales.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, my friend.
I'll be back next week.
Okay.
And we were talking about clinics and putting together clinics, and Tom House was an individual that helped a lot with that because he was one of the first people we brought up. And at that particular time, Tom had just left the Rangers as the pitching coach.
Okay.
And he had been a pitcher in the major. Well, he pitched for USC.
Oh, okay.
And then he was a pitcher in the majors. He says that the fastest way to the majors is a left-handed pitcher who can pitch 84 miles an hour.
I was left-handed. I don't think I shot at 84. I don't think I played or threw at 84. But
the next one would be a catcher who understood how to receive. Now, there's a difference, okay? So, but anyway, Tom came up. He put on some clinics with us. We brought in different college coaches. We brought in other people who had played minor league and major league as well to help the players here in this area.
Okay.
We developed a fall developmental team for the high school players and a summer team for the graduated seniors and college fellows coming back in.
Right.
We used to play all over the place. We used wood bats all the time.
Hey, the only way to go.
And we brought in Carlene Sugarman, who was a sports psychology consultant. She still is.
All right.
But we wanted the players to understand about the psychology of the game.
Right.
Because baseball is a very mental sport. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
And you have to be the best player you can be at your position, but you have to coordinate with 8 other people.
Right.
And you don't know what's going to happen until the pitcher releases the ball and somebody hits it or misses it or whatever.
Yeah, you got to have a strategy.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have to work together.
Yeah.
So we did that for a number of years. And I don't recall that we got anybody into the major leagues, but a number of players who played not only in high school and some in college, but you do realize that only 1 out of 18 high school players ever play anywhere in college.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
No.
So it's a very small group that moves up into the college. And I was pleased that we were called the Silver Sox, that some of the coaches understood what we did. And when a student went to a junior college or a college and they wanted to go out for the team, the coach was impressed with the fact that he had played with us. So
that helped a lot.
Trying to pat myself on the back, but we had a pretty darn good program because of the psychology side of it, the actual baseball side where we had very polished people that understood how to play baseball.
Now you had the Silver Sox were here for a number of years. I think they left in the 90s.
They started in 47, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And they left in the early 90s. And they had a number of people that made it. And the one that I always talk about is Dwayne Kuiper because he's an announcer for the Giants.
That's right. He still is, isn't he? Yeah. And then you had Bobby Cox, I understand.
Bobby Cox, yeah.
And who else? There was another one. Let me see.
Dennis Eckersley.
Oh, Dennis Eckersley, who played for Boston, I remember. And
Jim Lefebvre.
Yeah. Eckersley, remember the ball went through his leg? Yeah. Kind of ruined their chances for the World Series. But anyway, we had some great teams here.
It was a great team, the Silver Sox. But then the ownership and the city kind of got in a little squabble. They went to Bakersfield.
Yeah, that's what usually happens. Anyway,
Riverside, then Bakersfield.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. Good. No, we've got another segment to go.
Okay.
So we're going to just come back right after this message on Old Tales of Nevada, past and present.
The beautiful fall colors are being duplicated in the fall collection of fashions at Boutique Elegante. Sweaters are either in the crayon colors for fall or soft muted shades in bark and beige. For our cold winter days, jackets and vests are the perfect answer. Faux fur and full leather are the strong fabrics for this season. Team them with maxi skirts for a beautiful seasonal look. All of this and so much more at Boutique Elegante.
Hi, I'm Chris from Past Time at Somewhere in Time. Are you looking for that one-of-a-kind gift that you can't find in the big department store? I have something for all occasions. Got stuff? Need to know whether or not it has value or how to sell it? We can help with that too. Come and see me Tuesday or Wednesday at Past Time in Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street in Reno. Just ask for Chris.
All of us at Shoeman's Custom Cycle are ready to get you and your Harley ready for the road. From oil and tire changes to high-performance engine upgrades and dyno tuning, we at Shoeman's have got you covered with experienced factory-certified mechanics and a full-service machine shop loaded with parts and accessories. Shoeman's Custom Cycle has been serving Northern Nevada since 1988. So ride on down to Shoeman's Custom Cycle at 275 East 4th Street in downtown Reno.
Shoeman's Custom Cycle with a biker's bike shop.
Hi, I'm Paula.
And I'm Dan. We're the producers of the Tanner's Marketplace Antiques and Craft Shows at the Livestock Event Center on Wells Avenue.
I'd also like to tell you about our everyday location. We're at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia Street. We're Antique Antiques, booth number 46.
You'll find paintings by Nevada artists, collectible glass, vintage jewelry, Native American jewelry and baskets, antiques and unusual to unique items.
Find it all at Antique Antiques inside Somewhere in Time at 1313 South Virginia Street.
Come see us.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang Series. Wish depicts the Wild Mustangs herd running free, the mare and its foal, the Wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double-struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
We're back here in Old Tales of Nevada, past and present, talking with Tom Tabor. As I mentioned in our intro today, a man of many, many talents and many activities, probably done more in his lifetime than 5 or 6, 7 people do in their own lifetimes. And we've talked about a couple of those activities: airline pilot, baseball, but of course it doesn't stop there. Tom, you have many, many other areas of interest. For example, military. So you were doing baseball. You're involved in the baseball activities here. United Airlines, full-time pilot. Right. And also, as I look at your resume, a lot to do with the military.
Well, I did a lot with the military. I was in the Air Guard at Hayward, California, which is a special operations unit.
Sure. So
then I moved up here. When Jane and I moved here to Reno, I joined the photo recce here at Reno Airport, the 152nd.
Okay. How long were you involved there?
I was there for almost 10 years.
10 years, yeah. Was that in the early days of the Reno Airport?
Not that early. The airport was in its current location, but the terminal wasn't as grand as it is now. And you used to just walk out from the gate out to the airplane, and then all of a sudden some additional D course or C course or B course were built, but those were built out of plywood.
Plywood, that's great for an airport.
And they sat right on top of the concrete. And then along came the addition as you now see it. Of course, there's been a lot of modification since then. But
was the National Guard separated like it is today?
The National Guard is separated. It's in the same general location as it is now.
I heard they were going to, when they purchased all that land out there, to the south of the current airport and Air National Guard, that they took over that land for expansion of either the National Guard or the terminal. Did that never happen?
Well, there was, to my knowledge, a plan to have a terminal that went south from where they are now, which would have intruded upon where the Guard is, and so there may have. But nothing has developed at this point. So the Guard,
I see the airport still owns it, and they still maintain it. Cut the lawn and whatever else is out there.
Well, the airport owns quite a bit of property.
Yeah, they do.
Both ends of the airport.
Yeah. How was it flying into Reno when you were in the National Guard? Was it kind of hairy with all the wind patterns here? I heard you had to have special training to land in Reno.
Well, Reno is a little bit different. First of all, it's 4,400 feet in the air, so a lot of people that come from what we call flatlanders don't remember that you have a higher true airspeed coming in here, so it's a little different. And we do have interesting wind gusts, wind shears.
Yeah.
So, yes, it can be interesting coming
So you
in.
had to learn about that before you started flying in here, I suppose.
A lot of it is you come in and all of a sudden there you are. You got something going on.
You got to deal with it, right?
You deal with it, but most people who fly airplanes understand that altitude and airspeed help.
Was Stead Airfield in business when you were in the Air Guard during those 10 years?
Yes.
And didn't Stead have B-52s, or am I mistaken about that? No?
No, I don't believe that they ever did. It was basically a training base at the end where they ran survival training, Asian survival training. I was scheduled to go, but then the exigencies of the active duty force at that time needed to have my slot dropped out, so I didn't have to worry about going through all of the encampment problems.
You told me something interesting about Stead Air Base, and not too many people know about it, about the barracks that are existing there compared to the barracks in another...
Davis-Monthan Air Base down in Arizona. And Stead, for some reason, got their materials and assignments switched. So you have barracks that were put together and housing that was put together at Stead that's supposed to be in the warm desert there, even during the winter, and because we have such extremes. Yeah. And so the cinder block buildings were supposed to be up here. They got twisted.
They got twisted around. Well, that's the government for you, right?
Well, if you want something done wrong, no, I shouldn't say that.
Don't go there. Now, actually, the government does a pretty good job as far as military goes. That's one of their primary responsibilities. So were you just involved with the military up here in northern Nevada, or did you have a lot of interest with the people down south and in between?
Well, we didn't have the only thing that south of here was Carson, and I put together a joint exercise between the photo wing or group here and the tank battalion at Carson when they went down to Camp Roberts. So I think both sides ended up learning a lot from that, because we were taking pictures of how they dispersed and so forth in their convoys. Sure. And then we had mock attacks on them and took photos of how they responded.
Really?
It was a neat thing.
Did you fly those big C-130s or fighter jets?
No, I flew the F-4s.
Oh, the F-4s, the guys that made all the noise flying out of Reno.
We were the noisy
with your
guys.
afterburners.
Yes.
Wasn't that a good thing when they got them out of here, you know?
Well, a lot of people think so. Yeah. You still hear some that come in from
I heard one the other day, actually.
Yeah.
He
F-18
flew over Huffaker, because that's where I was at the time, and I could hear the jet, and it sounded like it's more than an F-4 now, but he was going towards the airport, and he kicked in his afterburners and took off. And just blew the neighborhood. I mean, you know how it was back in the day. Not too long ago, actually, when those F-4s were taken off 3 or 4 times.
The only 130s I flew in Germany with the 7th Special Forces.
Oh, okay. So how long did you do that? 10 years, huh? 10 years
here,
as an active flyer here.
But I spent nearly 30 years active.
Okay.
Not with the active services, but active Air National Guard.
Okay.
I had 2 short assignments to Vietnam, and I've worked 4 different assignments with NATO.
No kidding, really. Yeah. That's fantastic. Again, I don't know how you fit it all into one person's life, but you did. What rank were you? You had to be an officer of some sort.
Well, I enlisted in communications, and then I became the NCOIC, or non-commissioned officer in charge of communications, and for some reason the bosses thought it might be nice for me to go to pilot training because I kept pestering them. And so they gave me I ended up with a direct commission, went to pilot training.
Okay.
And ended up as lieutenant colonel.
Lieutenant colonel, that's pretty good. Yeah, do you retire as that?
I am retired.
Retired as that. Wow, that's great. Well, from the military, active, you became retired, but you still were involved with the military as far as support for retirees and things like that, right?
Oh, I was in charge of the the Guard and Reserve Unit or organization. So for the state. Did a few other things. I think I belonged to 6 different military associations.
Were you ever home? Did Jane ever say, "Are you ever going to be home today? Are we going to have dinner together today?" What?
Jane was a flight attendant when we first got married. Or she prefers a stewardess.
Oh, right.
Okay. So she would be coming to San Francisco, I'd be leaving. And every once in a while, we were lucky enough with our seniority to be able to fly together in the same month.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow. So you didn't see a lot of each other. Maybe that lent to the longevity of the marriage, huh?
No, I think her personality leads to the longevity of the person.
Well, so baseball, airline pilot, military, but it didn't end there either. You also got involved politically,
yes.
Right? In the local area, right?
With the local Republican Party.
When did that all start?
The latter part of 77.
77. So all this was going on at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was it like to be involved politically after being an entrepreneur, after being in the military, after, baseball and all that kind of thing?
Well,
was it a different world for you there?
Well, politics is a different world.
In what way? How is it different than the regular, real
because
world?
Not enough people become involved.
So you find out you're doing a lot yourself?
It's an organization that invades every second of your life, but most people don't want to be involved with it, let alone invade it. Mm-hmm. Because that's the biggest problem that we have, I believe, in our country, is not enough people become involved with it. We want to elect somebody to go do what we want them to do, but we don't keep telling them what we want them to do.
Yeah, and therefore
they do what they want to do.
What they want to do, and therefore the people at home get ticked off, disgusted, and become less involved, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the way it usually goes.
We have a gentleman that I'm working with that's running for the state senate in 2018, and people keep asking him, as they did me when I was running for the state assembly, why do you want to do that? It's a mess. Well, my look at it is, the people that you're saying that to perhaps should be the people that should be there because they're more interested in working with you. Yeah. But those aren't the people we elect.
Yeah. So were you able to accomplish anything good as a Republican chair or involvement there?
Well, for a short time I was chair of Washoe County Republican Party, and of course, when I look back on it and some of the things that we put together and some of the formats that we were going to use are now being brought back again, which I find to be very encouraging.
What was that? What were some of the innovations?
Getting people to be able to sit down and work with one another.
Okay.
And
committees,
and also to have, they call it outreach, but what I look at it is just working with people from different areas, whether it be the elderly folks, and of course people look at me and say, "But you're elderly." Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, but there's still people that are older than I.
Sure.
And then various groups of people. The ladies are underrepresented in the political world.
Yeah, we had some people on a couple of shows ago that talked about the evolution of ladies or women into the Republican Party in particular, but just in the political realm. We got to take another break here. Okay. We can go back and finish up our discussion about that, and then I have some other questions for you too.
Very good. Thanks, John.
All right, we'll be back right after this on Old Tales of Nevada, past and present.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Hi, I'm Hugh Roy Marshall from the Marshall Mint, Virginia City and Reno, Nevada. Come to introduce you to the Let 'em Run Wild Horse Mustang series, which depicts the wild Mustangs herd running free, mare in its foal, the wild Mustangs fighting for love. These ingots are a limited edition double struck product on 1 troy ounce 3-pine silver and are only available at the Marshall Mint, Virginia City, or Reno, Nevada. Get your piece of history today.
Buy Nevada First Gift Shop and Visitor Center at the Reno Town Mall is the place to buy local Nevada-owned products. There is over 4,000 square feet of unique items to choose from. Art, jewelry, books, music, inventions, clothing, candy, pottery, toys, even Nevada-made wine and more. Why, you can even purchase a gift basket full of Nevada-owned products. Buy Nevada First Gift Shop, located at the Reno Town Mall, 4001 Virginia Street in Reno. Buy local first. Somewhere in Time is the place to find what will be treasured for all time. A store full of the unexpected, with a large selection of beer and sports memorabilia, vintage toys, casino and brothel memorabilia, vent and glassware, Disney collectibles, historic comic books, jewelry, a great selection of vintage neon, new and enlarged collections throughout the store. Have fun with the whole family. Check out all the inventory in the store. Find the unexpected that will be treasured for all time at Somewhere in Time on South Virginia in Reno.
You have got to come and see our bridal designer collection here at Precision Diamonds. We bought our building, lower the overhead. That means everyday low prices to you.
Welcome back to our last segment of Old Tales of Nevada, past and present for this week. And with me today is Tom Tabor, a longtime resident here in Reno and a real active member of our community, as we've been discovering. Again, many activities, many interests, many jobs, and an entrepreneur to top it all.
So as somebody may say, I'm involved with a lot of things, but I'm a master of none of them.
Jack of
all trades.
Master of none. No, it sounds like you mastered a few of them. If you can fly a 757, you mastered a couple of those things. But again, looking at your resume here, you've got other activities too. I see that you were an auxiliary fireman. Now that's something close to my heart because that's what I did in the Air Force. 4 years.
You were a fireman in the Air Force?
Yes, I was.
I was an auxiliary fireman in the Hayward area, Cherryland Fire Department, and it was all run by Ashland Fire Department. But probably the reason I got involved with it is my grandfather was an engineer for many years in the Oakland Fire Department.
Oh, okay.
So I'll follow my great-grandfather along, and then when I got my license as a pilot, and then all of a sudden he decided that he was going to let his grandson do better than he, so he got his license.
Oh, no kidding, really? So, wow.
But at any rate, no, I was with the auxiliary. What we called it then was civilian defense fire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Auxiliary fire.
Yeah, I was a crash and structural fireman in the Air Force. I used to sit there and watch you guys fly into the airport with your F-4s, you know?
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
And you were hoping that we didn't end up doing something.
Exactly. We didn't want to see a crash. Most of my work, tell you the truth, on airport activity was washing down fuel spills, you know, while I were refueling, and standing by on airvacs, because we were in Clark Air Base, and people from Vietnam would be stabilized in Vietnam, but they fly up to Clark Air Base for the more important surgeries and things like that. So we did a lot of that kind of work. Amazing.
Well, as I was mentioning before the show, I never really spent much time at Clark. When I ended up going across the Pacific, for some reason the airplane always broke at Guam, and that wasn't.
Well, at least you got to Guam anyway, because there's a lot of space between Guam and the Philippines.
Yes.
You know? I'll tell you. I remember landing on Midway.
Yes.
Landing on Midway with this big. It was a stretch. Must have been a 707 back in those days, I guess.
C-135.
No, it wasn't a military aircraft. It was a civilian aircraft. Okay. And I can't remember the name of the outfit that ran it, but it was a big, long 707, but it was a big, long one. And we were told we were going to land in Midway to refuel. So we looked down because he made a circle, and this Midway airstrip was just an airstrip. That's all it was. There was a little place that you could buy a souvenir. But to land that big old plane on that little old airstrip was pretty amazing to see.
Were the Goonie birds nesting when you were there?
I guess it was been so long ago. I can't remember.
The reason I ask is because one time when we were at Midway, the fire department.
Yeah.
Had to take the fire truck down, and they would grab the Goonie birds and put them in the fire truck so we could take off. So
well, this probably happened there when I was there too. I was too busy buying souvenirs, you know. So anyway, a lot of things. You were involved with the air races too, with the balloon races.
Balloon races.
Yeah.
Jane and I sponsored balloon races for 5 years. That's when they had the community race where we would launch from out in the community and come back into the park.
Did you fly balloons?
No, I don't have a license.
You weren't a pilot? Yeah.
But we sponsored the same pilot for 5 years. We had a blast and a half.
Yeah, what about the air races itself?
Air races, I was part of the hangar checker. Can't remember what the club was. Then over a period of time, with other activities coming up, I had to depart there. But part of the Quiet Birdman, now I'm out there for the races because we have the hospitality suite.
Okay. You got through this year without an accident, right?
Yes, but and when people mention that to me, I say, okay, tell me how many accidents we've really had.
Not too many.
No.
But they're all pretty spectacular when they do happen.
They will be.
Especially that bad one when a guy came down into the grandstands.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was terrible. That almost did away with the air races. But
yes, it did.
Were able to overcome it, yeah. So the other thing that you're involved with as well that you do, I don't know if you do it every week, once a day, is your radio program, right?
It's once a week. It's
once
on
a week.
Thursdays. It's called Conversations from the Capitol.
Okay.
And it's a 2-hour show from 11 to 1. And we have 4 other co-hosts. And we talk about everything and anything. It is a non-scripted show.
Non-scripted, huh?
So if somebody calls in with a question or a statement, or we have an audience area, and there's a mic in the audience area, and people can come up and chat with us about things. And so we're heading down this road. All of a sudden, somebody comes in, and we have a right turn, 90 degrees, followed by another right turn, and then a left turn, and sometimes we get back to where we were.
Okay. Well, that's community radio is what they call it nowadays, and which makes local radio rather relevant because there are other avenues and places to get radio these days, but it's not local.
Well, we refer to it as sitting around the Thanksgiving dinner table after you finish, right?
Right.
And everybody's in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's what we want, is conversation.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I do after I eat a lot of turkey? I fall asleep. So I don't think I'd be the best person to have around the conversation table.
No sherry or port?
Yeah. Tell us where you do the radio program at. What's the dial position and so on?
It's KCKQ. It's 1180 AM, and it's broadcast out of America Matters Media at the Reno Town Mall, which is 4001 South Virginia Street. And as I say, we are also rebroadcast on the weekend.
Okay, great.
Saturday and Sunday from 5 to 7 on KKFT 99.1 FM.
Oh, good. Okay. That's that Carson City station,
Carson
I believe.
City,
Yeah.
Evans Broadcasting.
Evans Broadcasting. He's done a nice job with that property.
Yeah, Jerry
down there.
does a good deal.
Yeah. So is that your own production? Do you buy your own time and do your own thing, or is that just part of the station programming over
Part
there?
of the station programming.
Okay.
And all of us are volunteers.
Oh, okay.
So we just have a good time.
Sure.
And we get a chance to meet wonderful people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll be on the show here sometime.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. We'll get Jim, but we have had people from all various locations, various businesses, various organizations, and so forth.
Yeah.
Just like to bring people up to date on what's happening in Nevada, because this area has a marvelous opportunity for people.
Oh, absolutely. And we feel that way too.
And if people who are retired say that they don't have anything to do, they are actively working against having something to do.
Right. So they should call you because there are probably some of these 7 pages of resume that you could share with them, right? You need a little help here and there.
One of the things I'd like to see more people do is get to working with some of the candidates that are going to be running in 2018 and actually seek out the candidates, find out what they have to say. If you're on the same track, help them.
Yeah. So why Nevada used to be Republican, right? Used to be.
Yeah.
A more dominant Republican. Now it's the other way. I don't know. What is it, red or blue? I forget now.
80,000 or so more Democrats, but that's due to Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah. So how is the Republican Party faring these days? Are you feeling optimistic? Pessimistic?
Well, I'm feeling rather optimistic about a lot of things that are going on up here. I am curious about what's going on in Las Vegas, but it's a lot of people call up and say, I'm going to be in Las Vegas. Why don't we get together for lunch? And I say, yeah, that's 400 and some odd miles away.
Right.
It's like San Francisco to Los Angeles.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't get a lot of what's going on in Las Vegas, although I do have friends there.
Do you have an official position now with the Republican Party? Or
I'm just on the Central Committee for both the state and the county.
Oh, okay.
I no longer have an officer position.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, it's the political realm is a very complicated and confusing situation these days, and frustrating. I asked the ladies, I had them on a couple of weeks ago, I says, does it get frustrating because you have certain goals and you have issues that you'd like to see put forth, and many times these politicians go to Washington and they forget what the issues were when they were sent there.
What I have difficulty with is a politician who will campaign on such and such. Mm-hmm. And then when they go to D.C. or down to Carson for the legislature, all of a sudden they're not working that way.
Right.
But the next election, they go back to campaigning on what they campaign. Yeah. So if you're going to say something, do what you say you're going to do.
Don't you think it's all of the special interest, and it's probably always been that way? I would imagine even back in the Comstock days with Carson City, that the people with the money, the people that could afford to buy the votes, got the votes, right?
Yes. Well, we've had an example, not saying that Donald Trump doesn't have money, but he's certainly different. And my look at it is the establishment political parties, both major parties, are upset because he's upsetting their apple cart.
Yeah, that's true. It's totally a different atmosphere back there, and they don't want to see a change, which is part of the frustration for the people back home, I think, is because there's nothing happening, and it turns more people off.
Sure. And don't forget,
I'll live my life without politics. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but you can't, because politics is going to affect everything that happens in your life.
True, and some people let it affect it more. Me, I'm more try to be as independent as possible. I don't get involved. I just like to live my life and be
that's
creative.
That's what most
and do
people
my thing.
want.
Yeah, and that's why I like about Nevada. I can do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons that Jane and I moved here.
Yeah.
Is that you had the responsibility for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I like about Nevada. You can't do that in California and other places, for sure. Well, listen, Tom, thanks so much. Now I'll shake your hand
Very
for
good.
being with us, and have a great story. And again, like I said, a man of many interests, many accomplishments, and we love having people like you in our community because it brings us pride. And we can learn from you and make our lives better. So super duper job.
Well, thank you for the courtesy.
You betcha. And we'd like to thank our audience, too,
yes,
who are with us every week. And for Tom and myself and our crew, we'd like to thank you for being with us and invite you back next week for another episode of Old Tales of Nevada, Past and Present.